Yeah, that is true. So I think I'll just let my guys know so we can start. And before we start, I will like Mr. Fahim said, the session will be on record, and then we will share the link to all the participants. It will be on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. Just so everybody know that. I think Mr. Ba, our president, is with us, and then most of the executive as well are with us. So the other panelists, I'm sure they will join us along the way. Sunday, if you can hear me, can you hear me, please? Hello, Ndai. Okay, Mr. Ba, are you with us? Hello, Mr. Ba.
Well, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Fahim, I think we are losing Ndai. The connection here is a very big issue. I have to stay at office for me to actually get a better internet connection. So that is also another thing, of course. So from as far as this session is concerned, it's about online scamming and also about GCSA's effort, with regards to tackling online scamming, and also we will also discuss ways, to mitigate online scamming and create awareness and share the message, and then as for the participants, we have our guest speakers all the way from the UK, Wales, an organization which obviously are a great partner to us, called Cyberwales. So we have Mr. Fahim and also Mr. John Davis joining us from UK. And then from Gambia Cybersecurity side, we will have Mr. Ba Amadou Eba, who is already with us, Madam Day, and myself, Ismaila. And then the ministries aspect, we will have Sanusi, who will be joining us. And then we will also have a very, very paramount individual in the tech ecosystem of the Gambia called Mr. Pons Led, who is, very well related with internet governance. In fact, I think he's the West Africa representative, of the Internet Governance Forum globally. So he will be joining us. He's just asking me if we've started. So I will just give the respect, I would say, honor to Mr. Amadou Ba, to just do the opening and also let us into the session as our president of the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance. Mr. Ba, are you with us?
Thank you, Ismaila. I hope I'm being heard loud and clear. If I'm not being heard, please, you can just wave your hand to me so that I understand I'm not being heard. So first, I think I have to say a very, very big thank you to the organizing committee for coming up with a wonderful initiative like this, more especially to Ismaila Jawara, who masterminded this idea of having a forum to discuss one of the most worrying, issue as far as the cyberspace is concerned, especially in the Gambia. They saying something? Ismaila, you are paused.
Yeah. No, Mr. Ba, you can go ahead. You can go ahead, please.
Okay. So a very big thank you to the executive, from the vice president down to the last individual, for putting all these things together. I am really, really impressed, and then the Gambia is proud of the executive committee for coming up with such a timely activity. If you look at the cyber space as far as our country is concerned, the 419 game or the scam is one of the most prevalent. It happens every day by the minute, by the seconds. It happens in this country, and besides, people are losing thousands and thousands of dollars every day in this country because they've been scammed. So coming up with this initiative is, I hope I really think it's timely and it's important. And I hope and pray by the end of this discussion, all the participants here will have something that they can go home with to also further share it with relatives, friends, and colleagues. Now, looking at 419 it's an abbreviation used by the Nigerians, which basically in our English general term we call it as scam. So the 419 is the generally known name as far as the Gambia is concerned. Now, basically, it's an act of somebody deceiving you, pretending to be somebody, pretending to be something that he or she is not, thereby deceiving you to send money to him or fall in love with him, online without you physically seeing the individual. And at the end of the day, he can lure you into something. Now, we have been seeing these things happening in this country, and the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance, through the incident response cluster, have been recording significant incidences in these particular domains where people are deceived. You understand? People, scammers pretending to be women or using other women. You understand? To lure individuals into doing some specific acts that is really very unethical, and at the end of the day, this will be used against them in order for the scammer to get what he wanted. So having this topic discussion is very we should online, because ethically we all came from religious backgrounds, and we know what our various religion background accept and things that it doesn't accept. Yes, sometimes you may agree with me. Some of these things you put it to some experts, they will tell you, most of these things usually happens by consent, because it's like you, the individual or the victim, is not being forced in order to expose him or herself nakedly on the social media, thereby allowing the scammers to scam you. Now, another important thing is, yes, especially in the Gambia, our sisters, are so desperate. Not only the sisters, but even the boys are so desperate to marry to a Western guy, probably, let's say, European or American or whatsoever. So because they are desperate to marry to a white guy or to a Western individual, a Western woman or Western man, now it is easy to lure them into an affair that will be very detrimental to them. So I believe having this discussion today is going to go down the stream to the last individual in this country, and I believe the executive committee and the organizing committee is going to do very well to make sure that these recordings and the discussions that are made here are shared far and wide, so that the last individual in the country will get it. Because this is something that is important and is worrying, to be quite honest. We have seen situations like this where people's reputation were tarnished, people's political careers were damaged. You understand? People lose their job because they were exposed to the social media because of online dating, and at the end of the day, they end up messing up with themselves, and they're embarrassed to report back to their work areas. So I hope everybody is going to get a take home at the end of this session, and we will be very careful to better monitor whatsoever we do as far as our digital lives are concerned. Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much to the executive committee for the fantastic and the wonderful job that you people have been doing over the past 2, 3, 4 weeks, putting all these things together to make sure we have this session. I thank you all, and back to you, PRCom.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Barr. I think that is a very brief and interesting deliberation as far as online scamming is concerned. And then actually we will take note of what you've said, and just I've realized that there is one of our partners have just joined us, Mr. Babukar Sise from SAW the Gambia, which is an advocating group that actually fight on, online violence, advocate against online violence, on women online specifically. So Babakar, welcome on board. And then, not to waste time, I will actually pass the baton to Mr. Davis, or I would say our partners, in the UK, to actually, I'm meant to believe that you have a presentation to share, or one of your slides to share. So you can just share that, and then give us a little bit brief information about the status of online scamming in the area, or of your experience, because obviously we are in a different region, culture also matters a lot. And in fact, the same culture and environment, impact the way, some of these crimes actually are committed online. Ours might be a very different case, so we would love to share and learn from what, is online scamming, and scamming generally, or 419 in our own language in the UK, and, of how you actually share the message to mitigate such things. So Mr. Davis, back to you.
Oh, thank you very, very much, Ismail. I appreciate that. And that was a really excellent introduction, Mr. Bach. I much appreciate that as well, because it does set the scene for the situation that's going on in your region. And actually, a lot of what you said, we have a similar situation in Europe. And so what I want to do is walk you through just a few slides which we typically use when we're delivering presentations on this subject to our target audiences in Cyberwales. So actually, Ismail, if you could stop sharing your screen, that would probably allow me to share mine.
Yes, let me do that. I'm just
There we go. So if you stop sharing.
I think I stopped. Can you please check?
It still says your share. Oh, there you go. That's better. Right. So if I now share mine, I'm going to just bring up this slide deck. So is everybody seeing a presentation on the screen now?
Yes, yes, we are.
Perfect. Okay, so this is a Welsh dragon. This is the Dragon of Wales. This is our national flag. And hopefully you can see that as our lead slide. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk through some of the slides that we use when we're doing presentations to our target audience on this. And again, it's a real pleasure to be delivering a talk to our strategic partners, the Gambia Cyber Alliance. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to do this. So first of all, we need to understand why dating apps are such an attractive target. And they are a really attractive target to cyber criminals, more attractive actually than other targets like ransomware or just simple financial fraud. And the reason for that is because there are complete emotional differences here. When people are using dating apps and dating sites, they tend to reveal more information. They reveal more sensitive information about themselves, information that they would not be comfortable sharing with people normally online. And for some reason, they think that because they're on a dating app, it's gonna be okay to share more information about themselves than if they were sitting on Facebook. But actually, the reality is many of these dating apps are less secure than Facebook. And also, these dating apps are targeted by very specific criminals. And because if they can get hold of the images and the information and the data about people on these dating apps, they've got more leverage to blackmail, to try to extort, to try to leverage emotional input than they would if you were simply chatting online with somebody on Instagram or something. So these sites, just because of the nature of what we're doing on these sites, they're very, very much more dangerous than normal social media. So let's take a look at some of the attacks that have been recent. Everybody in the whole world knows about the Ashley Madison attack. The reason why the Ashley Madison attack was so bad was because every single bit of information, all information about every user was released online. And this is not, it's not just their IP addresses or just their usernames. This was everything. This was home addresses, their history, all of their transactions, all of their chats with people. Absolutely everything was captured and released, and which is why it attracted so much attention. But we've seen others. So things like Coffee Meets Bagel, 6 million user accounts were released from this particular dating site. And you know what? This was in 2018, end of 2018, in beginning of 2019. And even now, 2 years later, they still don't know how that was done. They still don't know technologically how they did it. So how are they protecting themselves from making it happen again? If they don't know how people did it, they can't protect themselves. And that's really worrying. There was another one, MobiFriend, 3.7 million user accounts. And the real key here was it was user accounts, including things like not just the email addresses, but also the passwords. So hashed passwords can be cracked, and hash in a lot of sites, these sites don't use the password, they use the hash of the password, which means if you steal the hash, you never need to know the password, you just use the hash. Effectively, the hash becomes the password. So people stealing hashed passwords is as good as stealing the whole password from you. And this was what was dangerous about this particular one. But we've seen others. We've seen specific sites like Jacked, Tinder. There's constant threat of man in the middle because they don't encrypt the images. So they encrypt the text. So when they use their app, they say, oh, all of the text on our app, you know, all of the communication is encrypted, but they don't encrypt the pictures. And the problem with not encrypting the pictures is that those pictures have metadata. The picture tells you where it was taken. It tells you the camera it was taken on. It might even have your name. It will have IP addresses, all to do with the picture. So not encrypting the picture means you're really vulnerable, particularly to things like location. They can identify exactly where you were. And if they see enough of your pictures, they'll build up a picture of exactly where you live, and they can come and find you. So there's a lot of threats in this industry with some really good examples of these sites. And these are just a few. If we take a look at a bigger survey that was done, this is a survey of where do these sites share your data. So you put your data into these sites thinking that it's safe and thinking that you're just giving your data to this organization. But these organizations then share that data with loads of other people without telling you. So these are examples of where data is being shared by dating apps with other organizations. So straight away, we see here on this particular app, it's Grindr, they share GPS coordinates. This means that they immediately tell all of those other organizations all about your GPS data. And they're just sharing this information. You can't stop this from happening. This is happening in the background. So immediately, organizations like Braze, BuckSense, OpenX, these people now know exactly where you were or where you are when you had that communication on Grindr. Here's another example. The MyDays site will share information about what Wi-Fi access point you were using when you did the connection. So even if you don't do these connections from home and you go out and you're now sitting in a cafe somewhere, they will identify exactly where that cafe is. And they now know that if you're sitting in that cafe with your laptop, they know what you're doing. And also in this particular one, they'll give a list of all of the applications that are installed on your machine. So whatever you've got installed on your device, they'll give that information as well. And they just give this information away and share this information. They probably make money off doing that. So this is a form of extra income for them. But giving away a list of your installed applications, it does a number of things. First of all, it tells people what your interests are. And secondly, it actually tells them whether you've got an installed app that has got vulnerabilities in it. So if you've got an application that's installed that actually allows people to take over your camera, for example, they'll know that you have that app and they can attack that. So you see other examples. OkCupid, which is a very large site, not only gives away your GPS location, so it tells you where you are, it gives all of the answers to all of the personal questions you had to answer. That's a huge amount of information that they can then use to blackmail. We have another example here of where they're giving away device information. Some of these sites, they don't even bother to encrypt the data. It's really, really dangerous. And then finally, places like Tinder will give away the gender target. So if you're a male and you're targeting males, it tells you about your sexual preferences. If you're a female and you're targeting females, it's the same. So this is information, all of this information that you're giving to these sites, which you think is perfectly safe, they're sharing this information straight away with a whole load of other organizations, which you have no control over. So there is a degree of risk here. So some of those risks, this is an organization, this is advice on this slide from an organization called Get Safe Online. It's a UK-based organization, and it's actually run by a guy from Cardiff in Wales. He's a member of our cluster. He's been a member of our cluster right from the start in 2014, and he's very well known in the UK. And he runs Get Safe Online. So they talk about, the risks are there's going to be harassment, there's potential for stalking, there's fraud when people try to get situations out of you and appeal to your better nature. And Mr. Barth told us about this as well in his opening talk. People can masquerade and pretend to be people they're not, and then spam you or sell you or try and fraud. And they'll use these emotional levers to try and get you to do things and ultimately try and blackmail you. And it's very dangerous. So some of the advice that Get Safe Online gives, and I know that this advice is also very prevalent. The Alliance, the Gambia Cyber Alliance, is giving this same advice out. I've seen that on their sites and on their previous presentations. So this is really good advice. Be anonymous. Don't use a username that gives you any information about yourself. Keep your contact details private. Stay in control about what information you're putting online and how. And say things about yourself without giving specifics. The other thing you can do is use a password that's unique and very strong. Now, a unique password is absolutely crucial because you just saw how much of your information gets shared by these sites, which means that if you put your username and password in, you can pretty much guarantee that password has been shared with other companies. So if that's the case, please, please don't use a password that you use for anything else. Don't use the same password you use for your banking. Don't use the same password that you use for your emails. Use a unique password. Now, this is easy to say, but it's very difficult to use a brand new unique password every single time and keep changing that password and being able to remember what that password is, right? That's really difficult. So I'll give you one tip here, which we share with our users. And it's something called what 3 words. Now, good advice from our National Cybersecurity Center is to use 3 random words in your password. But what 3 random words can you use that you will also be able to remember? So actually, I tell you what I'm going to do just for a second. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to share another one, which is this one. Is everybody seeing a map on the screen now? Yep. Perfect. So you should, great. So you should be able to see a screen. This is a website called what3words.com. And when you go here, they have broken the whole of the world. Every piece of ground in the whole world has been broken down into 1 square meters or 2 or 3 square meter blocks. And in each of these blocks, there is a key phrase representing that block. So if I went to one of my favorite places is the mountains just outside our house. There's a big mountain called Penavan. It's one that I enjoy climbing. Fahim is laughing because he knows that Penavan is a huge attraction. I'm going to switch this view to a map view. And can you see immediately now as I drill in on the very top of Penavan, which is this black dot here, because that's a concrete plinth that marks the top. It's a big marker. You can see that already I'm into these squares. Every one of these squares has its own 3 words allocated to it. So if I look at the square that's got the top of the mountain in, the 3 words are pinches, ticked, and tenure. Wow, okay. I'd have to look those up in a dictionary. Okay, so pinches, ticked, tenure, 3 completely random words. I'm going to change the I to a 1 or an exclamation mark. I'll probably change the E to a 3. I'll put a capital somewhere in there, maybe on the middle word or the last letter. So if I just use some characters and then put those in, I now have a password. How do I remember that password? I remember that password because it's my favorite place in the whole world. Yeah, and this is how I'll remember it. What I can then do is I can say my next password will be the next square over. And now I have a password which is haggle, mentioned, finalists, change the I's, change the E's, change the A's, put a capital in, put a number in, bingo. I've got myself completely randomized password. And nobody knows that the 100 or so passwords that I used in the last times, last 100 passwords I've used is just me walking across this mountain. And every time I take another step across this mountain, I'm taking another 3 steps. And so this is a good tip that we give to our members about how they can generate really good, solid passwords that are different every single time, which is really what you need in order to do this. So I've just jumped back into my slides. So hopefully my slides will come back up. You guys seeing my slides now? Yes. Terrific. Okay, so we've seen the advice about what you do. Take your time, trust your instincts. Don't do anything too quickly or too rashly. Just avoid money requests and don't put up with bad behavior. You wouldn't put up with people treating you badly in a cafe or a restaurant. So, why would you do it? Put up with bad behavior and bad language online. Just stop communicating with them straight away. But the other thing to remember is there is an association for this. There's an online dating association. It's an international organization. This one runs out of the UK. There's a lot of these around. And any dating agency that is a member of this association, they have to prove that they have processes in place to deal with bad behavior, suspicious behavior. So if you're going to use an online dating site, use one that's part of an association that at least has got to prove that they do the right thing. And this is the advice. So this slide here is the advice that's given by GetSafe Online with one of our little tips for good passwords from Cyberwales. But what I would say as individual, if I'm talking to people in Cyberwales when I'm doing presentations, I would say, take matters into your own hands. Be your own boss. Be confident. Do this for yourself. If you were out there looking for another doctor or a chiropractor or a massage therapist or something, you wouldn't just walk into the first one you came across in the telephone book. You'd do a bit of research. You'd see if anybody knows them. You'd get some referrals. You might look at them, see how qualified they are. Would you want to have a doctor doing heart surgery on you and he didn't have a degree in being a doctor? You look these people up and you make sure. You don't choose a babysitter to look after your children just by picking someone off the street. So let's take that same principle and be more diligent about how we do this. So the first thing we do is do some research. Cyber criminals, we've just seen from the information that's being shared, we've just seen that cyber criminals can gather huge amounts of information about you. Good. Then let's gather huge amounts of information about the people we meet online. Let's look at those people and find out what we can about them. So let's search for their details. So if I go onto a dating site and I see the details of a person that wants to communicate with me, my immediate reaction is, I want to find out more about them. Does this person exist? Who is this person? And I can do this research myself. So I'm now turning the tables on the person who's contacting me. So hey, maybe that means I'm becoming the stalker, right? That I don't even know whether that's a good thing now, but that's my responsibility. I want to find out about them. So I'm less worried about them researching me because I haven't put too much details into the site, but I'm going to research them. So I'm going to go after their social media profiles. I'll see if they're on Twitter. And do you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to grab their image. I'm going to take their image and I'm going to go and search that to see if that image exists. So I'm just going to jump out of here for just a second, and I'm going to see if I can share my screen separately, because actually, let's, I tell you what, I'll go back to my slide for a second, bump out of this slide, because my final slide, there you go, onto my slide. My final slide is a picture of me. So do you know what I can do here? I can actually grab this picture of me. I can screen grab it. So this is me just doing a quick screen grab of my picture. There you go. I have my picture. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online. So if I go back to the website here, I'm going to go to Google Images. And here's my Google Images. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to load that picture that I just grabbed. And I'm going to load that picture up. And I'm going to put it into, there you go, Google image search. So this isn't searching for a word now. This is searching for an image. And it's an image of me. It's the picture that I used on my slide deck. So let's have a look. It says, okay, it's found the picture. It's found this picture 174 times. This is good. If my picture is online 174 times, it's probably a genuine image because it's used a lot. If you can't even find this picture online, you should be suspicious because it means that the only place they've used it is in this profile. But I can go down now. It says I'm John Davis. Apparently I'm a director of a software company. Actually, that's pretty good. I'm liking myself already. I'm also part of the CyberSec community. It's not bad. See, this site says I'm a managing director. Wow, that means I earn even more money. I'm a bit of a catch here. I'm on Digital Leaders, so I'm considered a digital leader. I work with CyberSec EU across Europe. I'm with the part of the Cyber Watching program, pan-European. Wow, yeah, actually, do you know, I'd date me. This is pretty good. So effectively, I can see if I can find me. Do you know the worst situation you could have is you put the picture on their profile picture up, you put it online, and the picture appears in something like Shutterstock or Adobe Images, because they've just taken a picture of someone else and put it on their profile. Or the picture doesn't exist. You should be concerned about that as well. But this is just me doing a bit of research for myself because I'm taking control of my activity online. I am responsible for my activity online, and I want to make sure that I'm getting it right. So this is me doing a bit of proactive research and identifying what I can about their profile. What I can also do is I'll do things on my terms. Cyber criminals are going to try and pull you and tease you and push you into doing things. So just stop and take your time. Be suspicious. Any requests for specific information about yourself, stop and wonder why they're asking. Think about how you can phrase the answer without giving them any information. Because I can tell people that I like trail running and running across mountains without telling them about Pen y Fan. I don't need to tell them where I trail run. I just say I trail run. There's a lot of mountains in Wales. It could be anywhere. So be vague and be very suspicious if they keep trying to get specific information out of you. Also, another trick that they use is they try and pull you onto a different social media platform. So you're on an app. That app could be secured and it could be using encryption. So what they want to do is get you off that online dating app and put you into normal email communication, because that's far less secure. And it's easier for them to get you to click on a link in an email than it is to try and get you to click on a link in an app if the app doesn't allow things to execute on your machine. So actually, them pulling you off the app and onto another platform, that's not them trying to be private. That's not them trying to, move you into a nice quiet corner so that they can be romantic. That's them trying to get you onto a less secure channel. So resist this. The moment you see that happening, stop and think. And here's another one. only agree to meet if you're comfortable, 100% comfortable with this. And there's two things to remember. So scammers, so people who are trying to scam you and trying to get money out of you and trying to tease cash out of you, they'll never want to meet you because they're just running an online scam. It's a business for them. If you ask to meet them and they keep putting you off, oh, I'm not ready. Oh, I'm not confident. Oh, you might not like me. You know, if they keep putting you off, then just stop communicating with them, because that's what scammers will do. They'll keep you online as long as they can and never meet you. But at the same time, predators, people who really want to do harm and they really want to get at you, they'll want to meet very, very quickly. They'll be pushing you to meet them. So if somebody never wants to meet, be suspicious. If somebody really keen to meet you and pushes to meet you all the time, be suspicious. And don't actually meet them at all until you're 100% comfortable, because you've gone and researched them and you know more about them. The other thing I would say is tell other people about what you're doing. I know dating sites is a very personal thing and people don't like to talk about the fact that they're using a dating site. But you know what? Tell your best friend, tell your family, tell somebody, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell somebody what you're doing. Tell them what site you're on, tell them what profile you're using. And if you're going to meet somebody, tell them you're going to meet them, tell them where the meeting is, tell them when it is, and maybe even have them kind of, you know, be there in the background. Maybe they could be sitting in the car outside the restaurant or sitting outside the cafe, just to be on hand, just in case, because you never know. So for me, dating sites and all of that side of trying to work these sites and work these apps, this is a team sport. Get more people involved. The more people who know what you're doing and know where you're going, you're going to be safer. And I know this because, as you know about me now, I've given you personal information about me. You know, I climb mountains. I never go up a mountain without telling somebody which mountain I'm going up, what time I'm leaving, which route I'm going to take, and what time I'm planning on getting back. Because otherwise, they won't know I'm lost. So here you go. There's a bit of advice from Cyberwales. It's a few of the slides that we use when we deliver these talks. And hopefully that was useful for this session. And if there's any questions or you want any more information, here are my details, and I'd be delighted to communicate through Nday, through Mr. Ba, and through Mr. Ismaila. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Thank you so much, Mr. John. What 3 words, and obviously take things matters into your own hand. I think these are messages that obviously, you know, we need to amplify over and over again, and it is never enough, you know, to share such messages and, you know, obviously, you know, advise, you know, our and create awareness as far as this country is concerned, or especially Africa. So we have Mr. Ponsley. Mr. Fahim, do you want to share something, or we can proceed?
Of course, please proceed.
Okay, good. So we have Mr. Ponsley with us. And Mr. Ponsley, as I said, is a technocrat and also a I would say a very huge pillar, you know, in the tech ecosystem as far as the Gambia is concerned. And online scamming, you know, has been a very big problem. In fact, I remember we had an internet governance forum, which he is a very, you know, senior personnel in that area. I raised this question. He said, Ismaila, you see, this scam overly has to do with, you know, consent as well. In fact, the scammer on the other side, you know, do not at some point force the one who is being scammed to share certain personal information. So information is most of the time readily available online, as Mr. John Davis said. Do not share a lot of information. And if I access such public information, then there is kind of an issue when it comes to the law of who is actually at fault here. You know, it's a big issue. And then the other point is, you know, you see in the UK, most of the time, maybe probably these servers or these dating sites that are in use are hosted somewhere, you know, that are very close to you people. And then your cybersecurity professional or institutions or police have access to certain, you know, sites, you know, admin. But in the Gambia or Africa, we have that big problem here. You will see people will scammed online, you know, on Facebook or on WhatsApp or, you know, or Snapchat or Instagram. Then it becomes a very big problem to report this case to those people. because then the incident response or the support personnel are not available within the country. Okay, I know we have certain people within West Africa, and Mr. Ponslet is going to let us know more about that. So, Mr. Ponslet, if you are with us, the button is yours. So, if you have anything to share from that huge mountain, I would say ocean of knowledge and experience in this area, obviously you can come in, Mr. Ponslet.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you, John. Thank you, Fahim. Sorry for joining a bit late. I got caught up with the Premiership and I just forgot the time a little bit, even though my team is only playing tomorrow. I think, as Ismaila said, there's a lot going on, and I will talk from my experience. Having lived and studied in Manchester, I know what it is that how privacy and how data protection are important, because I think most of what we forget in our neck of the woods here in Gambia and in most parts of Africa is that when we are dealing with all these online scams, I mean, people can only scam you if privacy has been breached, or if you share your private information with a party that you feel trust has been developed. And so I always start from the basis that we need to do more on privacy and data protection. What does that exactly mean? I think we have not really done much on that. I remember even my young daughter, who has graduated university now, and remember when she was going to study, she was finishing high school, and I allowed her to have a Facebook account. But there are few people that know whether even their kids have Facebook accounts. There are few parents, that know if their own kids have Facebook account. When did they open the account? Why did they open the account? Okay, and for me, I think that's where the issue starts, and we can only do that if we do more on the kind of advocacy the Cyber Alliance are doing. I think we need to do more on advocacy. We need to educate our young people. We are a tourist destination. Destination Gambia is a very lovely destination, but at the same time, we have Destination Gambia that has been exploited by a lot of pedophiles, a lot of swindlers and stuff like that. And most of these people, they prey on you first on social media sites like Facebook especially, and drag you out of there into their own zone. So where does it begin? I remember some 2 years ago, I was talking to a friend that I knew that revenge porn was used against him on Facebook. And he came to me crying, and I said, okay, let's look at this issue. So he opened his Facebook account, and there were several women there that he was friends with. And I said, well, did you know all these women? You didn't share any common friend with them. Have you met them before? So he was just making friends with people he didn't know. And it was one of those people, it can even be the same person with 2 or 3 replicate accounts, that came in as a woman that later dragged him out into another site, and there was a whole embarrassing situation. And he had, because a lot of these people too, they believe they are doing something in private, in quotes, but they don't know. And I said one of the 101 of privacy, you don't allow anybody into your house that doesn't know you. I'm not going to accept anybody as a friend if I've not physically met you. And I said, if you are going to accept random friends, it defeats the whole purpose of why Facebook exists as a social app. I said it's different from Twitter. Twitter has its purpose, but Facebook as a medium, you look at the whole reason Mark Zuckerberg, it builds networks. So you have people that you have met professionally. You have people like, I always give an example of myself that, the first 500 or 600 people that are friends of me in Facebook, childhood friends from primary school and high school, because those are your foundation. I said even my university friends are even fewer because I met them when I was already 16, 17, you know, but most people is your high school friends that you all grew up together. They know you better. People who knew me as a 9-year-old, you know me better than people who met me when I was already a teenager, you know, and professional friends and stuff like that. But we have a lot of people down here that just accept friends' requests without knowing people, without knowing the people. A lot of our women have been vulnerable about that, men too have been vulnerable about that. So more education needs to be done. It's good to see that Facebook to have started now within the because I work a lot with the policy team in Africa. They now have not only people have the human rights, a whole someone that heads the human rights unit in sub-Saharan Africa. They have someone that deals with content management and stuff like that. They've even had ministers in this country too that have been attacked from through their Facebook profile. So how do people protect themselves? So if you're an eminent person, you have to make sure you are registered so that they know you're an eminent person, you're a minister. You have to make them know, just like with Twitter, so that the blue button comes there. You know, I see our a lot of our good media practitioners here, or bloggers, or people that use all the social media sites like Camera, Lamin Njai, they use all these features. So what the Cybersecurity Alliance is doing is very much important. But again, the bedrock is letting our people know more better about privacy and data protection. And you can't stop people from using dating sites. It's their own prerogative, it's their own choice. You can never stop people. It's just like trying to say you stop people from migrating. No matter what you do, migration has always existed from time immemorial. Same thing, dating sites, even before it became online, people were doing it through pen pals, writing letters by postal mail, you know, and doing it. The only thing is that you have to have a physical address or a PO box, you know. So now that a lot of information is now online and people share their information, when you join social media sites, we have to know what particular social media sites, I mean, dating sites. Give people advice on recommended dating sites and stuff like that. And don't join a dating site. If you wish to join the dating site, Google dating sites. Which one is the best use? Don't let someone that you meet randomly on Facebook encourage you to go and join a particular site, because you have the dark web, you know. So I think more advocacy needs to be done, especially having these imaginary friends that you don't know from Adam, meeting them on social media, and then thinking that, oh, you have won a lottery, talking to so and so who you really don't know. So we need to do more on that. I would like to mention, John talks about the hash password. You know, he could have explained it better. Maybe some people don't know about the hash password, but it's not actually your real password. But when what all these hackers do, when they hack, they get an encrypted code, so a sort of code out of the password, and you know, you can use it without actually knowing your password. Enter into your get into your whatever account. So meaning your account is being logged into doesn't mean exactly that they have known the password. They'll just use a hash password because it's encrypted. They get some codes, and they can go behind it. You know, because there's an algorithm that does all this, and it's a little bit sophisticated, but it's good to explain. And on the password issue, I've always mentioned it. You know, we talk about it in our National Internet Governance Forum. It's still a big issue that you don't have one room key to enter all rooms in your houses. Why should you have one password for nearly everything you do online? You know, so I think we have to just people have to reflect that how they're able to protect themselves offline It's the same rules apply online. We shouldn't be that careless. We are very careful with the way, even when a stranger stops you and asks you even for your phone number, and we are wary. I said, what do you need my phone number for? Or like our young girls we do, or you stop them and say, oh, my phone number. They go, actually, what do you need my phone number for? Where do I know you from? You know, so all these things, if we are very good at dealing with such situations offline, that same rule of the way we guard our privacy offline, we should apply that same rule online. It's the same thing. It's just we are living in a virtual realm now, whereby a lot of things is happening in between the real world and the virtual world, and that is why even there are now committees. Now I'm sitting on a committee that they're looking into the real and virtual reality, looking into the ethics of it, you know, because a lot of things in terms of data privacy are being looked into, you know. So even from gaming communities, not even only dating sites, people have been duped by just joining a gaming community online, thinking they're going to play a game online, and in playing that game, other things have led to, or other things. They've met gamers who are just there to infiltrate by looking at their profile and stuff like that, you know. So all these things, more advocacy, more education, I think that is what is really needed. The more we put it out there, like I will encourage the work. I mean, I'm always a big fan of what you people are doing, Smiler Amadou, whereby any new trick that has come up within all these areas we are discussing in terms of scamming, anything that is coming global, put it out there on your website, put it out on Facebook. Watch out for this. It is coming to it happens so and so. It doesn't mean it won't happen in Gambia. Put it out there so that people will know, you know. And if you, even though you have to do a sponsored advert on social media, let it fly around. I think we should do it. So I'll stop now. I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Pons. And thank you so much for that deliberation. I think as far as online data privacy is concerned, I will actually say threat modeling. You know, cybersecurity personnel actually keep doing this. You know, that is obviously to know the status of your cybersecurity, you know, as far as security is concerned. And then people have to do this, you know, at personal level. You know, people need to be able to ask, you know, questions, you know, when they are actually making friends online. As Mr. Pons said, you know, you don't just jump ahead and then connect somebody online, you know, for the first time when you've never met them before, you know. Or Mr. Davis said it here that before you actually link with somebody online, you need to be able to actually do your own information gathering about that, you know, specific individual's profile. You know, you can go on Google, you can go on Bing to actually make this site. Not only there, don't stop there, just make a random name site. You know, and to be honest, you know, I want to ask this question generally, you know, to some of our panelists with regards to how could a scammer, you know, target an individual? And Mr. John Davis talked about this a little bit, you know, and Mr. Pons actually made it, you know, us understand it a little bit. That is, why would a scammer actually target us? In fact, generally, you know, in the Gambia here, we have people, you know, that are key personals in this country. I mean, politicians, a whole political, you know, party, you know, a leader, you know, was scammed online, and you know, a nude video, you know, a video of him was shared, and then we have people that are key, you know, decision makers in this country that actually they just cut and paste, you know, their head on something else, and then scamming then goes, you know, from people just talking about getting you pay something to people actually tarnishing people's image online. You know, for example, I'll give an example. If I am scammed, they say I have to pay, let's say, about $100. That is, you know, I'm being scammed to pay my money, you know, for my identity. Now, but then when it moves from that stage to you using my personal information online to actually threatening me online, to give you a certain amount of money without me sharing personal, certain information. Let's say a nude picture. It's not, we didn't even build a relationship. Certain scam pictures that obviously, certain incident that we intercept is just because of between persons that do not even know each other physically. They don't even share personal information. That's some information, that are used against some of these victims are found online voluntarily. Like, for example, your picture, they try to edit it. And in fact, one of these ways is deepfake. And, for the participants, Gambia is actually in an election year. By December, we are going to actually have our election. And then these are all information that we share online. They can actually make, we've seen worldwide, information have been, deepfake, attacks have been launched against politicians and also key personals online. And Gambia overly, I know for sure we are moving towards that end. How do we actually put an end to this? How do we create more awareness, within our country? And this overly cannot only be done by us, but also, everyone here and everyone outside. We need to keep the message, going. And then I will ask Mr. Ismail Njai, who is the vice president of the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance, as to what GCSA, just give us a brief, explanation as the status of the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance with regards to the incident response. Because we report, do collect certain information about this scamming, and we have a statistic of the number of cybercrime that are reported to us, and scamming overly stand out against all other crimes that were reported. And then Mr. Njai, if you're with us, can you give us a very brief information with regards to this? And then how do we handle this? How do we make this engine a wider system?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ismaila, and thank you, Mr. John Davis, once and everybody. What Ismaila just said, we have the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance has this cluster, this incident response cluster that is integrated into our website. So so normally this is shared when a crime is committed, or if someone is scammed along the way. So we normally direct the website where they can log in and then report the crimes. So like last year we have collected over 80 or more crimes that have been reported. So normally most of these crimes were related to scamming, some of which included people asking for money, people asking for ransom because of their privacy has been compromised. They fell in love with people, the kind of thing which is not real, who pretend to be lovers online, and then they normally do video calls which usually victimizes someone or one of the parties. So at the end of the day, when all that is done, the other party, maybe the scammer will then ask for ransom, and then the nude pictures will be shared online. So like what Ismaila said, this thing has happened to prominent people, people that are within the government or some private, sectors, and then politicians as well. So at the end of the day, they succumb to these, dangerous crimes, and others, in fact, would like to commit suicide, because of the impact of those crimes. So when such things happen, so we direct them to our website, where they can log in, and then report, the kind of crimes, that they have, gone through. So such things have been happening. The report that we shared with the ministry earlier on, at that level, 2021, and being early in this year, the crime has increased again. Even today, today somebody is just reporting a crime which we have just noticed. I'm sure after this event we'll directly concentrate on her and then see how best we can mitigate that and try to help them out. So basically we have lots of crimes, a lot of online crimes that are happening in the Gambia. Elections are coming. We need to prepare ourselves on how we can able to help the government. We can be able to help ourselves, our colleagues, how they can avoid such how they can protect themselves and avoid falling into such kind of crime. So as Ismaila said, GCSA, we are doing the best that we can. This is why we're encouraging everybody to be careful. We need to do more advocacy, more awareness programs, and make sure such things do not happen again. So I would like to give this to Ismaila because I think we still need to give the chance to other panelists as well. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Njai. Thank you so much for that brief deliberation. As like you said, obviously, we have to do more. Mr. Pons highlighted here that more effort, more advocacy, and awareness creation need to be done to, obviously eradicate online violence, and scamming, or cybercrime generally. And then we have Mr. Babukar Sise from, Stop Online, Harassment Against Women, with us as well, and that specific, group, they're doing a great job. They've actually conducted series of programs with regards to creating awareness, and not to be gender biased, but from our statistics, over 80% of the violence or online scam that happen, women actually fall prey to that. They actually are more insecure online somehow, based from on our statistics so far. Just today, the victim that reported our case, her case to us, is a girl. So Mr. Babukar, if you are with us, you can actually say a few things that so have been doing. And also you just put in few words into this session. Yes, Mr. Babukar.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for the presentations, Mr. John, Mr. Pons, and thank you for hosting us, Ismaila. SHAW is an abbreviation for Stop Harassment and Online Abuse of Women and Girls in the Gambia. We're a group of young professionals who are together to support young women in teaching them online safety and providing a safe space where they can share their stories and teach others. Basically, we've worked with many victims of online abuse and harassment. What motivated us was a video of a girl who was dancing at a school party, and this video was uploaded on Facebook, and she got suspended and eventually expelled. Now she was stigmatized like for a very long time, and by almost everybody, and she wouldn't be accepted by any other school. Well, Shao does not want the repetition of such incidences, and that is why we've taken our time to teach them online safety, like give them digital safety tips, what to share, what not to share, and digital literacy so that they can have life skills and things to do later. And we also have an ambassadors club where the girls that we teach, they go out and teach their peers. We also work with peer health educators in the schools. That's the group, and they give out materials to the schools. We also work with rural women by giving them digital skills training, literacy, and personal quality health services by giving them health and sanitary materials. When it comes to online dating, I believe in the Gambian context, what really the problem stems from people not knowing. Digital literacy is not very common in the Gambia. Not everybody knows what to do. Not everybody has that knowledge. A friend of mine got scammed by someone who purportedly said he was going to send something to him, and now he has to pay for the shipping. Now he went home, took all the savings of the mother, who was a petty trader, and then sent the money without knowing and expecting that the money to be returned to him. I'm sorry. Is someone okay? and expected the money to be sent to him, only find out that he has been scammed and duped. He didn't know. And that's why right now we're working on awareness campaign, telling people how to stay online, what to do, what not to do, what information to share, what not to share, who to talk to. And the most important thing is providing a space where they can share their stories and also receive counseling. At least that way, we will stop the incidences, like we will stop the incidents from occurring again to them and to other people. After this, I'll share the link to the Share website where you can look at everything there and know a bit more about us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Babukar Sise. And then we've just have Mr. Sanusi from the ministry joining us right now. I'll just let him settle down. Mr. Sanusi, are you with us?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am Sanusi Drame. Ismail, how are you doing? I was unable to log. Yes, I was unable to log in earlier because of electricity issues. But finally I'm in.
Okay, yes. Okay, thank you. Just so we have Mr. Fahim Azar and John Davies and few other from the Cyberwales UK, our partners. They are our global partners. Cyberwales, have partnered with the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance since around last year, and we've been working together, as far as the cybersecurity industry is concerned. And your ministry is a very key interested personnel or institution to our partnership with Cyberwales. So they've made their deliberations here and also presentation, and I will just let you settle down a little bit, and then I'll go back to Mr. Fahim or Mr. John Davis as far as this presentation is concerned. So my question is this, like here, the culture of online scamming and the way they do it is very different. I would say, to be honest, from Mr. John Davis, presentation, what I've realized, here people go, as low as, just a phone call being received, and then, you are told that there is a, some amount of money or package for you safe somewhere, in our neighboring countries. And then, can you guys hear me loud and clear? It's showing that my internet is kind of slow.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. We're getting you. You're breaking a bit, but we're getting you.
Okay, so it actually goes, as low as people just calling you, and then, pretending to be from the US or the UK, and then say, I have this package for you, and you have to pay for the shipment, the shipping bill. And then, just that, and then money is sent. And then before you notice, crimes will be reported at our level. Now, my point is this, and then our biggest challenge as an institution, a civil society, organization, is that as far as online scamming is concerned and cybersecurity, is obviously conducting investigation and effecting arrest and getting to a conclusion of a specific case. Because this involves, most of this, scam are done on platforms that are not within our jurisdiction, that are not within our region. We face this problem a lot. And then actually we get to understand that obviously there are a lot of policies that need to be in place and a lot of systems. And the Gambia as a country, through the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure, are building, or they actually setting up what we call the Gambia Computer Emergency Response Team. But then at our own level as a cybersecurity institution, we find this very, very difficult to do our investigation. Now, what is Cyberwales experience as far as this is concerned? Do you guys actually conduct, or receive, incidents or, reports from victims as far as cyber crime is concerned and online scamming? And if yes, how do you go about with this, to actually get to the bottom of this? Yes, Mr. John Davis or Fahim, if either of you can actually get.
Yes, thank you very much, Ismaila. It's a really good question, because the key here is not to have too many places where people can go to report something and get advice. And I know that sounds that sounds counterintuitive to have not too many places, but actually, if there are too many places where people could report it, people get confused about where they should report it. So one of the things that we do in Cyberwales, and if you look at our website, you notice that one of our two aims, so we have two aims, one is to grow cyber capability in Wales, but the other aim is to really spread the advice and guidance of a particular body in the UK government for cyber advice. And this is our National Cybersecurity Centre. So really, whenever we find something that we think is useful and we think that the service is a good one and we think that the advice looks quite good, we don't just throw that out into our community as yet another place where they could go for advice. What we do is we first check that advice and check that content against our National Cybersecurity Centre. And if it doesn't match up with what the National Cybersecurity Centre are doing, then we don't publish it. If it doesn't seem to be complementary, then we don't publish it. And that doesn't mean that it's bad advice. It just means that we need to keep the channels as clear as possible. And that means simplifying those channels down. So in the UK, we have action fraud, which is where if you genuinely think that you've been defrauded of money, you go there. If you're just interested in being safe online, we have Get Safe Online as an entity, and we just go there. Everything else is to be reported or look for advice from the National Cybersecurity Centre. And on the National Cybersecurity Centre's website, it has channels that you should follow and where you should go to report things. And really, what we do is rather than take those complaints ourselves and try and deal with them, is just to say, we will advise you on where you should go to report those things, where you should go to get good advice. So, and we can give that advice, but actually if we send those people and direct those people to the source of that advice, then everybody is, a phrase that we use is, everybody is singing off the same hymn sheet. So we're not all singing the different songs. Everybody needs to sing one song. And I think this is very important, as you have quite rightly said, the internet usage and internet scamming is very prevalent in some countries. And if this is prevalent in the Gambia, then the question is, where should people go? And then just have that as a simple channel, a very simple message. Don't give them 100 different places that they could go to, because it's too confusing. They won't know whether they're getting the best advice. They'll end up going to 3 or 4 of them and trying to report the same thing more than once. So our advice is to simplify it right down and just put it through the national channels and put it through the most appropriate channels in the country.
Thank you so much, Mr. John Davis. I think this is a very, very key, I would say, advice. But in this country, I would say the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance is one of that institution to report this to. And I always say this, to my, anytime I'm actually having a public speak, I will share this message that the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance is not, an institution that is built, or set up by an act of parliament. We are not, police officers. We are not representing the government. We are a civil society organization that obviously, is very interested into cybersecurity and creating more awareness into, in the area of cybersecurity. But we also take up the initiatives, as far as our country is concerned. We don't, at this level, there is nowhere to report, cybercrime incidents, as far as the Gambia is concerned. Even though, we are hopeful by, the end of this year, we will have an institution ready, because they already launched the, second phase of the Gambia, computer, emergency response team, which obviously I know, can be, they are going to play that role as far as incident response is concerned. But then, Mr. Sanusi is with us, and then I am not going to ask him key institution because I will let everybody know why. But then, Mr. Sanusi, what is your take in this? How do we, at some point, get our security personnel ready when it comes to cybersecurity, and also get our public, ready when it comes to cybersecurity? That is awareness aspect of it. Because at the end of the day, people need to know who to report to. But then if you report to the police, I remember there is this program we host for a training for the police. Then the police officer said, Ismaila, if a robbery happened, at a bank, they report it to the police, they report to us, we launch an investigation, we walk to the bank, we start actually investigating and collect evidence, check whether they break in through this way or that way. But then how about if a robbery happened online? How do I know? At some point, how do I actually launch an investigation? How do I collect this digital evidence, to get to the bottom of this? So the level of cybersecurity in this country, we are advocating, and it's very low. We still want to get to that level, and with our partners, our both local and global partners, we know very well we will get to that level, and then Sanusi, if you are with us, Mr. Sanusi, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Thank you. So what is your key, or your take in this, when it comes to education, cybersecurity education, both for security and also the public?
First is this is a very important question, and before I talk about the capacity building side, you said how can we get those security forces or the personnel ready to tackle cybercrime, especially when it's online. And the second one, I think, is where do we report to? Can you come up with the second question again? Sorry.
Where do we report to, and then how do we get people to actually understand, ways to report to and to whom to report to?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. First, to tackle both of them, first you have to have the legal instruments in place. That you have to have the policies in place. You have to have the cyber governance. You have to have the capabilities. You have to have the capacity building in place. Then the coordination comes into place, and how to derive the digital evidence, like building the capacity of the law enforcement. So all these things, they complement one another. Because if you put, let's say, the training force, what about if they have the capabilities to catch cyber criminals, but yet they don't have the proper laws to prosecute them? They will come back to the drawing board. Okay, if you give them only the laws and they don't have also the capabilities, the laws are there, but they cannot enforce it. Again, if you don't have a governance structure, how do they coordinate everything? How do they report? It becomes a little bit confusing. So it's a holistic package that we are looking at. That is where the Ministry of Information, where I work at, developed a national cybersecurity strategy, policy, strategy, and action plan, 2020 to 2024, which is a 5-year strategy. And as part of that strategy is to put all of these instruments together. So you may be aware in our previous discussions and seminars that the ministry has also close collaboration with other close collaboration with other stakeholders, developed, and also international bodies, developed a cybercrime bill. So this cybercrime bill is still under review at the Ministry of Justice. It's validated, but it's yet to be tabled at the National Assembly, because we are getting some comments that needs to be incorporated. Once that is done, we are hopeful. Once it is enacted by cabinet, by parliament, it becomes a law in the Gambia, whereby cyber criminals can be prosecuted using the provisions that are within that law. So now coming to capacity building, the strategy spells that out. How do we build the capacity? And if I can also recall the National Development Plan of 2018 to 2021, it also spells that. how we come about building the capacity. It mentions it, that there is need to build the capacity of personnel to respond to cybercrime. So now, how do we do that? We have to train the police, we have to train the law enforcement bodies, we have to train the judiciary and also other prosecutors within the Ministry of Justice and the legal system. So in doing that, you have to also spread the level of awareness in the country so that people know what cybercrime is, how it affects their daily lives and businesses, how it disrupts business transactions and other stuff. What are some of the implications? They need to understand that. And to do that, you have to come up with an advocacy or an awareness campaign that has to be continuous and it has to be effective, using the right tools to reach the masses, even at the grassroots level. And with all of this also, one important thing that needs to be taken into consideration is championing cybersecurity at the highest level of the executive. Because if you don't see the seriousness of cybersecurity at a higher level, you can bet that all our plans will go to zero. So the highest level of the government needs to know cybersecurity is very important. Without cybersecurity, what can happen? You can be a cyber criminal can just come into the country remotely and shut down all critical national infrastructure that is critical to the socio-economic development of our country and even the security. So all of these things, they complement one another. So building the capacity, yes, I believe we have to do that. And we have to also engage the private sector because they have the expertise to do that. The civil society have to be heavily engaged, both in capacity building, but more in advocacy programs to spread the level of awareness about cybersecurity, the importance of cybersecurity and the effects of cybercrime, and also international cooperation, which brings to my attention again, signing important treaties like the Malabo Convention, the AU Malabo Convention on cybersecurity and data protection. So, and also domesticating those things in the country, making them aligned with your laws and policies, as well as your strategy, and try to make sure that you monitor the progress of the implementation of the strategies and also action plans, by the way. So all of these things, they complement one another in ensuring that our capacity, the capacity of the law enforcement is strengthened. But one important thing that I can inform you is that through the cooperation, through Gambia's participation in the ECOWAS, organized crime, West African response on cybercrime and also cybersecurity, the Gambia has been selected as one of the pilot countries to benefit from, and that in that offer, the Gambia would have a digital forensics laboratory. So I sit in the regional technical committee of this project. So we have been given that, and the procurement has started, if I can inform you, so that the police would have a digital forensics laboratory, which will tackle the other issue that we are saying, how to investigate. So when we have a crime, when it's reported, let's say it's reported to the Gambia Computer Security Incident Response Team, the GMCSAT, which is, as you rightly said, has just started its operational phase. So once it's reported there, using the legal instruments as well as the other policies and the strategies, we will use that to coordinate with the relevant bodies or stakeholders in order to get the case investigated. So the police will be supported, of course, regarding digital evidence by also the GMCSAT, but they'll be working in close collaboration. And the GMCSAT, as currently, is reporting under PURA, that is the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, what would be transferred to the ICT agency once it becomes operational. So all of these things are there, but as I said, more work has to be done. And I'm very glad that people like Consulate is always pushing me in previous meetings. What is the ministry doing? What is the ministry doing? Which we will continue to do. But honestly, I will tell you, I'm speaking on my own behalf here. But if any of you have any important idea which we can help the ministry, come and knock at our doors. We'll open it. We can do this together by forming committees, pushing forward to ensure that we have whatever we want to do. What is lacking. We need support from the private sector, the civil society. These are very critical stakeholders. They have a policy influence that they can have on the government initiatives. So I think that's what I have to say. I hope it's helpful.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanusi. Mr. Fahim's hand is up. Mr. Fahim.
Hi, it's very informative information. Thank you, sir. It's good to hear from the ministry exactly what your strategies are and how you guys are moving forward and for raising your hands forward for international partnership. I would just like to ask a question that within your strategy that you have developed, is there something, do you have a minimum benchmark for the cybersecurity as standard, number one? Number two, do you have any scheme called the police cyber alarm? Because I believe that, this is something which we are speaking with the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance. And I believe that, Mr. John Davis can add on that a little bit while we are here.
So, Mr. Sanusi, are you with us? Okay. Mr. Sanusi?
I said, can you come again? I was just away for 5 minutes.
No worries, no worries. I say it again. The strategies that you have, for Gambia, in this strategy, do you have the minimum standard for cybersecurity as your benchmark, as well as do you have any scheme called the police cyber alarm? Because if you don't, then I believe that together with Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance, we have already raised this further, and I think Mr. John Davis can explain that further. But I would just like to say, is it already in your strategy?
Yes, the strategy, as if I am to maybe answer your question better, the first strategy that was developed was in 2016. So the strategy was developed and in the absence of some kind of an assessment. Mm-hmm. A major assessment. So when the World Bank supported the Gambia in its, how do you call it, the cybersecurity maturity model program, by using or by involving the Oxford Cybersecurity Capacity Center, they conducted an assessment for the Gambia. And that assessment resulted in some kind of recommendations on how to improve cybersecurity and also update our cybersecurity strategy. So in that process, that's what we use. So the recommendations are for cybersecurity standards. The recommendations are for cybersecurity capacity, education, cybersecurity culture, and also the legal instruments and so on. There are 5 dimensions that have been put forth. But if you don't mind, you can check the CMM, they call it the CMM report of the Gambia, or maybe you can Google it. Most likely you might find it even on our website, and you can download and it will give you comprehensive information on how we go about it. Regarding a cyber law for the police, we don't have specific laws that guide the police for cybercrime. But what we do, we have a general law, which is the Information and Communication Act of 2009. Which has provisions for cybercrime and also computer misuse. But these laws are very limited and that they are not very comprehensive. So based on the experience of based on the recommendations of the CMM, we wanted a holistic cybercrime bill or law that will take into consideration substantive offenses, let's say procedural matters, and also international cooperation. So, which is more holistic and can deal with everything. So it doesn't have to be specific to only the police, but it's specific to all sectors. I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I must say that, you know, because in the UK, we have a cyber police alarm as a best practice. And if, let's say, anybody care about, you know, or you give us a few more minutes, I think Mr. John Davis would like to talk about the cyber police alarm, that what we do as a best practice in the UK.
Okay. Anyway, we're fighting against time here, but I wouldn't mind to give Mr. John Davis, let's say, 3 or 4 minutes of our time, you know, to actually review over that. And then Mr. John Davis, if you have.
Yes, I don't want to take up too much time on this webinar. This webinar has a specific purpose to it, so I understand and appreciate that. But the opportunity, thanks to the Minister of Information's presence, and thanks for being here and speaking, it is to say that in the UK, we have a number of initiatives that have been launched by the UK government and by the UK police and by other entities in the UK. And those schemes and those initiatives, they're not unique to the UK, they are available. So for example, our UK police is prepared to discuss and share best practice with the Gambia police and our UK organizations that handle the minimum level of cybersecurity expected of organizations. They're prepared to share that best practice and to communicate that with organizations such as the Ministry for Information in the Gambia. So I think the message is we have a number of initiatives that are very mature, that are working very well. And if any of those initiatives are of use to the ministry, to the government, to any of the entities such as the police or organizations such as the Gambia Alliance, we are more than happy to share that information, share that best practice, and maybe take a separate session to discuss some of those in more detail. Because if they're available and they work and you know they're applicable to your own situation, then we'd be more than happy to work with you and share with you what we do.
Thank you so much, Mr. John Davis. I think Mr. Sanusi is with us. And then I would also love to recognize the presence of Mr. Mustafa Kebe, you know, who is a cybersecurity professional working, you know, in the US. He has a company called Nation Cyber, and he's a very keen brother, you know, in the cybersecurity ecosystem in this country. So Mr. Mustafa, you know, we've actually recognized your presence. And then the session should have ended about, I would say 10 minutes ago. So that I will give the baton back to the participants. You know, if you have any questions and, you know, remarks like Mr. Lamingete just said, the program is very important. Cybersecurity awareness is important, especially the constant increase in cybercrime. So if you have any questions as a participant, you know, you can go ahead and then ask the question to any of the panelists, and then they will be very, very proud or happy, you know, to answer your questions. And then before we end, we'll have Madam Deiture, who is a very key, you know, person in the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance, but especially, you know, the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance and Cyberwales partnership. You know, Madam Day, you know, has played, and she's still playing a huge role in, you know, in this ecosystem as far as the Gambia is concerned. And if I'm to tell you, she's one key woman, you know, in the cybersecurity ecosystem, you know, in this country. She's always reading and also always advocating, and she's very much interested in cybersecurity as far as this country is concerned. So before we end the session, you know, I will let her, you know, do the closing remarks. But before her, you know, if any of the panelists, you know, Mr. Fahim, you know, Mr. Ponslet, you know, Mr. Bar, you know, if any of you, and Mr. Mustafa, if you have any closing remarks before we end the session, and then have take a screenshot while we all actually turn on our videos, you know, please go ahead. So if you have any closing remarks, should we start with Mr. Fahim or Mr. John Davis?
No, nothing from my side.
I realize Mr. Fahim is, you know, a man of, you know, little words at some point. Yes. Yes, Mr. John Davis, yes, if you have anything to share.
I would just like to say a massive thank you for the team that organized this session, and also the speakers that came to talk. They've been amazing and very complimentary as well. I think this is one of those subjects where everybody knows what the problems are, and we know some of the solutions, and what, you know, each of the speakers was adding and building on the content. And I think that's a really good webinar. I think that's very good, and people will be able to watch this video and learn from it for a long time to come. So congratulations on a really good webinar, and we are honored to be invited in as strategic partners to help in any way we can. And thank you very much for inviting us along to participate and to share the knowledge that we have. Very, very grateful.
Thank you, Mr. John Davis. A message from Mr. Sanusi, you know, the guy representing the ministry, just said, I support the cyber policy program, you know, and then as they said, you know, GCSA will actually take the lead, and then we will take this into an in-house discussion, you know, into the parlor, I would say into the, you know, bedroom to actually discuss, you know, the strategic, you know, things that we actually look forward to. Thank you so much, Mr. You know, Mr. Sanusi. So, Mr. Ponslet, do you have any, you know, closing remarks or, you know, wisdom to share with us?
I think you guys have done great. John, Fahim, Babuka, Mr. Sanusi. I think you put on a good program. Keep up the good work, and let's match the advocacy with action. Let us, we cannot leave it alone to the ministry or to PURA to set up the computer rapid emergency response team. We have to make sure we work with them. We have to make sure we help in training our police force so that they too are well equipped to deal with this situation. I would like to see a situation whereby the police take active part in this, our local police, and we build their capacity, especially among the female police officers. We have not really got within our security apparatus yet. We have not really got champions from there that will spearhead the work we people are doing. So that will be the next step. I will. That's my next challenge for the Gambia's Cybersecurity Alliance to get more female security officials to be on board with the great work you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And challenge accepted, Mr. Ponslet. Okay, Mr. Ba, you know, are you with us, Mr. Amadou Ba? And Mr. Kebe has been quiet. Mr. Kebe, and to the participant, can you all talk?
Hey guys. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Kebe, hi. You know, a virtual, you know, hi.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm actually out and about, so I have to wear my mask here. But it's great to connect and hear what's been done, the collaboration. And then for me as a member and as a Gambian, one of the things that we're looking at is, you know, best in collaboration in any way that we can help possible. Training members, working with different teams, and facilitating also products or even the strategy to move forward, as knowing what the culture needs in terms of building a cyber program. So I'm always excited to hear some of the initiatives, and then I've also heard the members from the UK side. My team here in the US work hand in hand with most governments in terms of the cyber program, and with those cyber program, and that's what we're going to do for our Gambian country as well. So we'll be happy to have those collaborations across the board. And I'm always open, and that's why I joined the call this morning just to listen, and then I'll be happy to work with anyone else to see how best we can enhance some of our programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Our lady Nay's hand is up. Nay. Nay, are you with us? Okay. In the meanwhile, can we all turn our cameras on if you are not doing? Obviously, yeah, so that we can take a screenshot of this and then share it on our social media as well. Okay. Yes, Mr. Ba, where are you?
If there's a photograph, is this where we have to do our hair nicely?
Yeah. This is where we have to do our hair, and then you know, this is the part where you actually have to sit properly, you know. Yeah, so what happened? Mr. Ba, where are you? Thank you.
Yes, Jawar, can you hear me?
Yes, Nay, we can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You are actually breaking a little bit, yes, but we can manage.
Yeah, I'm around. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Now, yes. Oh my God. Nay's connection is not letting her. I don't know why. I think Mr. Yes, Nay. Wow. Anyway, I will actually preserve my comments by disturbing for you because but anyway, I will just say thank you so much. You know, Cyberwales, thank you so much. You know, all the participants, thank you so much, our boss, Mr. Ponslet. And the challenge is, you know, we've actually accepted the challenge. You know, in fact, I'll be honest, you know, this program is obviously, you know, through one of his recommendations, you know, in our data privacy, you know, day session, that we need to be having such things over and over again. And we promise at our own level that we will keep it, you know, we keep the ball rolling and also opening our doors for partnership as well. So don't be surprised when you come to Joko Labs, you know, for our next partner. So I will say, can everybody just say bye, you know, because we've actually taken the screenshot. Hi, and a virtual hug to everybody. Bye, you know. So where's my Jara boy, Mr. Ba?
Thank you to everyone, Ismaila. Thank you very much. Thank you to Cyberwales, everyone. Goodbye. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, see you guys next month, or you know, probably.
Okay, take care.
Okay,
Folks.
bye everyone. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
All right.
Okay.